When you picture an angel, you're probably thinking of something elegant, serene, maybe with a halo, right? But what if I told you the Bible describes them as something else entirely? Something truly terrifying. So let's peel back the layers on what these celestial beings are actually supposed to be.
Okay, so on the left, you've got the angel of pop culture. We all know this one. It's beautiful, graceful, the kind of thing you'd see on a Christmas card. But on the right, yeah, that's what the Bible actually describes. A multi-faced, eye-covered, otherworldly being that feels more like cosmic horror than heavenly comfort. I mean, the difference is just staggering.
And that leads to the big question for us today. How in the world did we get from a terrifying celestial monstrosity to a cute, chubby baby with a bow and arrow? To figure that out, we've got to go back to the source text itself.
First up, let's talk about the category of heavenly beings we're most familiar with, or at least the ones we think we're familiar with. These are the messenger angels. The key to understanding them is right there in the name. Our English word angel comes from the Greek angelos, which is itself a translation of the Hebrew word malach. And malach means one simple thing: messenger. Their entire job description is baked right in. So these beings were essentially intermediaries. They carried messages, sure, but they also acted as agents of God's will. And that will wasn't always, warm and fuzzy. We're talking about the angel of death in the Passover story, or the one angel who single-handedly wiped out an entire army of 185,000 soldiers. And while they sometimes look like ordinary people, maybe with wings, and even had names like Gabriel and Michael, they were immensely powerful. But here's the real kicker. These messenger angels, the malach, they're just one type of celestial being. And according to a kind of heavenly hierarchy that was mapped out in the Middle Ages, they're actually on one of the lower rungs of the ladder. The beings higher up? Well, that's where things get much, much stranger. So let's climb that ladder, because this is where it gets really weird. It's time to meet our first truly bizarre creatures, the hybrid guardians known as the cherubim.
Seriously, forget everything you think you know about cherubs. The pop culture image is a chubby little baby, right? Like Cupid on a Valentine's card. The biblical reality? A fearsome hybrid monster whose very first job was to guard the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword to keep humanity out. Not so cute. The best description we have comes from the prophet Ezekiel, who had this profound and, frankly, very trippy vision. Listen to this. He describes them as having 4 faces, 4 wings, and feet like a calf's that sparkled like burnished bronze. Yeah, not exactly a baby with a harp, is it? Okay, so let's try to picture this for a second. Ezekiel's vision gives us a pretty precise breakdown. 4 distinct faces: a human, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. They've got 4 wings and human hands hidden underneath them. And the way they move is just unnerving. They only move straight forward without ever turning. It's a detailed and deeply strange biological blueprint. So you gotta be asking, where on earth did such a bizarre image come from? Well, the answer isn't in heaven, but right here on earth, in the history of the ancient world, specifically Mesopotamia. And the parallels are, well, they're impossible to ignore. On the left, you've got the Babylonian Lamassu, a guardian spirit with an eagle's wings, a lion's body, and a king's head. On the right, the Egyptian Sphinx. These are both powerful, hybrid guardians of sacred places, doing the exact same job as the biblical cherubim. So, the big takeaway here is that these descriptions didn't just appear in a vacuum. The biblical writers were part of a wider world, and through cultural exchange with their powerful neighbors in Babylon and Egypt, these incredible mythological images likely influenced their visions of God's own guardians. All right, are you ready to go even higher up that celestial ladder? Let's meet a class of beings who serve even closer to God's throne, the Seraphim. Their name is a dead giveaway to their nature. It comes from the Hebrew verb seraph, which means to burn. So the seraphim are, quite literally, the burning ones. The prophet Isaiah describes them as having 6 wings, and each pair has a very distinct purpose. 2 of them cover their face, in humility before God. 2 of them cover their feet, and only the last 2 are actually used for flying. Their position? We're talking top tier. They are the highest choir in the angelic hierarchy. And they have one continuous job: fly around God's throne, act as its caretakers, and endlessly sing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." But here's another fascinating layer. The Hebrew word for a venomous serpent is also seraph, and this has led some scholars to connect the seraphim to the ancient Egyptian symbol of the cobra, the uraeus, also known as the flaming one, which pharaohs wore as a symbol of their divine authority. A winged, fiery, serpent-like being? The image just gets more and more complex. Okay, but we've saved the most bizarre, the most mind-bending being for last. Forget anything with wings or a face. Now we meet the Ophanim, also known simply as the wheels. Ezekiel describes them in his vision, and this description is just on another level. He talks about seeing wheels on the earth, built like a wheel within a wheel. And get this, their rims were tall and awesome and completely full of eyes all around. Let's just try to visualize this. We're not talking about a creature, not really. Their form is a set of interlocking golden wheels, covered in eyes, that can move in any direction without turning. Ezekiel sees them moving right alongside the cherubim, and their purpose seems to be to act as the literal wheels for God's mobile throne. So, what in the world are they? This description has led to all sorts of wild theories. I mean, some modern conspiracy theorists look at this and see a UFO. Plain and simple. Others suggest that, given the context of the vision, maybe it was a psychedelic experience. Scholars tend to interpret it more metaphorically, as a symbol for a God who is all-seeing and can be everywhere at once. But the real, honest answer? No one is really sure. So when we bring all of this together, we're left with a very, very different picture of what the heavenly realm is supposed to be like. The Bible's vision of heaven is not just a place full of serene, human-like beings in white robes. No, it is a place filled with fiery six-winged creatures, four-faced animal-human hybrids, and terrifying spinning wheels covered in eyes. So the next time you see a delicate little angel on a greeting card, maybe just for a second, picture a spinning wheel of eyes instead. It might just be a little closer to the truth.